Okay, so it's been a bit of an afternoon of getting through the 101 series gear, and each piece of this we had to basically test and make sure every individual component worked. As you can imagine, that took a little bit of time, but anyway, let's get a bit closer to see what we've got. This station here, primarily you've seen before. This is the basic FT101E station that on a good day should fire up. Let's hope so. And let's see what we can hear. Nothing much at the moment, but so this is the I haven't actually got around to putting all the counter bits and pieces. We've tested them and all working well, but I've just got a few connections to make so that it all works live. But what we've got is a bit of a look at just where the FT101 series went. Now, I'll just turn that down. Turn it down a lot more. And look, for a lot of people, the FT101E was the favourite. It just was something that was iconic. I think it just rolled off the tongue. You know, FT101E. The B was almost too hard. FT101 finished too early. I think the only thing that might have, been more interesting was the the FT101E, but we didn't see a lot of those, over here in Australia. So, starting really from the first one, you've got the FT101, which is really bare bones. Some of the differences that you'll start to notice is switches from really right across in this whole section here. When we go to, say, an FT101E, just down here, you notice a different style of switches. They've gone to these push-on little pieces here that's really nice, and a different action switch versus the, up, down, etc. of that there. Not a heck of a lot changed. The one obvious thing that was really prominent due to the age of the FT101 was that it was back in the days when 11 metres was available to amateurs, and actually I just received some documentation the other day on when the changeover, when we actually got advised as amateurs that we could no longer look at the at using the band there anymore. It had been taken over, which was about when I was entering the hobby anyway, so it didn't really affect me much. So basically, FT101 differences, things like the processor that you see over here was omitted. They hadn't got around. I was just using this FT101, talking to a mate of mine, and he actually said to me, he said, the drive that's on the thing, he said, surprised it doesn't have a processor, because it almost sounds like you're running one. And I went, yeah, well, okay. So, and it was driving really well. That old FT101, is getting a good 150 watts out of it. It's probably the healthiest set of 6JS6 I've ever seen. It actually extended way past what I would have thought. So pretty much back in the day, you put an FV101, so not the FV101B, which later on came out and started to match up to the B and the E series, etc. And look, everyone had their little take on what speaker they wanted to put with it. There were, landliners like this here for interfacing. There was this here would probably be more. If you said, what is the matching speaker to the original FT101, believe it or not, you're looking at it, that there would be more what you'd be looking at. So that's where it goes. From there, over to the FT101B, and they still kept with the same switches on the 101B. So, as we went from 101 to 101B, we didn't see a lot of change here. We still kept 11 meters sitting on there. Once again, no processor, etc. There are various things they changed with the output and bits and pieces. It's the B was a better radio, for a number of reasons, and certainly, the same sort of deal that you could batch it up with the likes of the YC601 counters and YO100 crows and FV101B, which of course the FV101B was the direct match for this fella here. Just keeping in mind also with the crows, there was the YO100 that you're looking at here, and later on they came out with a YO101, and the YO101, great crow because it just had so much more sitting on it, and it really enabled you to do trapezoids and a lot of different bits and pieces. You actually had a two-tone sitting there on the buttons there, so you could feed a two-tone signal into your lineup. And I suppose, on the subject of trapezoids, etc., then you had your various amplifiers that you could run. We've got a couple of very nice looking FL101Bs here. They're not a mark on these things. They're very, very nice. And just to show you, we're just actually redoing a cover at the moment on a fella here. Now this is a very nice, this is the version before the FL2100, so this is before you got to the B, FL2100B. So this would be the amplifier that pretty much was your FT101 matching amplifier on the day. Obviously no warp bands or anything silly like that. Not a lot of difference really between the two amps. There was internally there was quite a number of things, and that to do that, hang on. One of the best comparisons I could give you would be to show you the internals of this, and to show you a B, there's little bits and pieces I can certainly show you, but when I show you, say, an FL2100Z, you start to see, wow, okay, so the Z, definitely, look, if you're not looking to match up a station, the Z would be the better amplifier to get, but nothing wrong with the 2100s or 2100Bs. As you can see, this one's had a fair bit of work, new caps put in and bits and pieces done. This is really clean inside. It's one that we've been playing around with for a while now, just replacing a few bits and pieces on it. It's really clean. I can't take all the credit. It's actually not too bad, but it came with this most disgusting cover on it. So we've just sent that out to be powder coated, and that'll come back looking like new. Some of them we can paint, some when it's this nice and amplifier internally and certainly front panel wise. The light's a bit terrible here, but sometimes we'll spend the extra $50, just send it in to be powder coated, and it'll come up nice. Alright, so what else when you were chasing an FT101 did you do? You obviously had options, which we'll get into in a second. We talked about the FT101E down here. That's been my old girl since the 80s, 90s. I've had that a very long time. The FT101E came in from Sydney, which 6-12 months ago, and so this was the cut down version to some degree. People always used to say, if you've got a double E, you've got something special. Well, you have, absolutely, but in regards to the 101E, you actually had more options on the 101E. But anyway, the double E is just a nice radio to sort of put with the lot. And once again, you can match it up with your bits and pieces. Now, they didn't ever release an FV101E for Echo. Not that I'm aware of, and anytime, please correct me. That's what my YouTube channel is all about, learning. But not that I'm aware of anyway. So generally, you're either putting an FV101 on there, 101B, sorry, or the likes of the FV101 onto there, and both will work, quite okay. So that's no problems. The other thing you're probably noticing is that we have a number of, every one of these lineups has got a YC601, but we've also had a good play with the Spectronics, the DD1. I'd highly recommend it. Good unit, and also had a play with the DD103s out of the US, and just really stable devices there. The old YC601, I love them, don't get me wrong. Those displays are just to die for, and I think they're really just must-haves if you're trying to sort of match up your station, but they do have their deficits. Anyway, nothing too major that I'm going to carry on about. All right, so what else can you do if you're trying to build your FT101 lineup? I would always suggest scopes, transverters, and the must-have, the YP150, really a great thing to add on. And there's an FT650B and FTV250 that you can get. And look, they do come up. People say they're as rare as hen's teeth, but if I've got 4, there must be more than there must be not so rare. Each of the FT101E lineups have all got a YD844. we've actually got boxes for most of these, which is crazy. Actually, a lot of this equipment we've got original boxes for still, which is, you know, great. But this is just a bit of a, you know, a look at some of the history of Yaesu and just what they did in that particular era. And I really, you know, I've enjoyed getting all this gear going. I mean, there's been a bit of a nightmare on some of it, to be honest. Not for the faint-hearted. I'm retired and you know, sort of, and even then, you know, I don't sort of always find the time to play with these as much as I'd like to. But you sort of need to put a bit of time aside, because it does take a bit of work. You'll get little faults at times that will really, you know, stretch your mind. And there's my bird Henry. I named him after Henry, my mate back in Golfview Heights, when I used to live next door to my neighbour Henry. So it's been a tribute to him ever since. All right, so that's just a bit of a breakdown on the bits and pieces that you know, are available for the FT101 series. And I'm going to be releasing none of this what you're looking at here, but there's a heck of a lot else that you'll see come up. I'm going to try and release a few lineups. There's going to be an FT101E full lineup and an FT101B full lineup. I think at the moment, I think I've got enough bits, you know, left over. This is what I'm going to keep for myself, and this has been a, you know, sort of a bit of a labour of love getting to even to this stage, but you know, it takes time. But anyway, so there you go. That's pretty much the look at what I've been up to this afternoon, and just how you have a bit of a play with some FT101 series gear. And I think that'll pretty much do me for a while. We'll just finish off this 2100 amplifier just over here and get that finished, and that pretty much is it. We've got a number of ZD Mark 1, Mark 2, Mark 3, and non-digital and digital, of course. We're doing that lineup. They're all with crows and with external VFOs, memorizer VFOs, you name it. So we'll do a thing on those soon. They obviously can't go anywhere near here because there's just no room. We're going to have to move. As I'm moving back, I'm having trouble getting this in the shot, actually. You'll see all my rubbish everywhere soon. But anyway, forgive me. But anyway, so we'll keep you updated with the next lot of Yaesus. The next era definitely we'll do is the ZDs. We've got about 6 or 7 of those, or actually more, 8 or 9. But once again, we don't need that many, so we will be cleaning out what's, you know, not needed, because it's, you know, it's just time to do just that. So I'll still keep a insane amount for myself. Don't worry, it'll be fine. All right, okay, 73s from VK3CM, and that's a bit of a look at the FT101 series and just what you can collect and have fun with, and certainly hope that you enjoy collecting and restoring, because I certainly do. Cheers, please subscribe, and all the best. VK3CM, JDW229, cheers.